Our next patient is back for a monthly visit. This is an extraction case, and we will now look to see what we would do at a monthly visit on the extraction case treatment. There has been a lingual chain placed from the lingual of the molar cleat to the buccal. This was obviously placed for molar rotation mesiolingual. The molar does not seem to be rotated mesiolingual at this month, but we would like to prevent that from happening as the space closure continues. So we will probably replace this chain at this month. The opposite side shows a little bit more mesiolingual rotation. And there are no cleats present on that particular molar. Remember not to remove any cleats on extraction cases because you may need them for control of molar rotation. We will check the cuspid teeth, which in this case are being acting as lateral incisors. The first bicuspids are going to take the place of the missing laterals and act as cuspids. So the cuspids are acting as laterals, the first bicuspids are acting as cuspids. There's a closing loop being used here to close the space present between the cuspid and the first bicuspid. This is a keyhole loop, which can be activated by doing like a cinch back out the distal of the molar tube. That loop was already active and passive with 1 millimeter of activation. So it may appear to be overactivated at this point. In this case, we're also using round wire. This will allow for a tipping back of the incisor teeth. This is really not very typical on the upper since we want to maintain torque of the incisor teeth as we retract. A more typical arch wire to be used in this type of a case would be a 19 by 25 stainless steel arch wire. Even though the closing loops is a frictionless system and will be dealt with in a future videotape, we may want to use a class 2 elastic to our cuspid teeth, in this case really like the first bicuspids, to maintain the posterior anchorage. This case was an adult with a full class 2 at the start. The lower molar is being treated with a minimum anchorage situation, with the molar being closed mesially into the extraction space to attain a class 1 molar relationship. Our class 2 elastic will help us in that goal. On the left side, we do have a lower elastic, which is hooked onto the arch wire loop. This will allow mainly molar mesial movement. But in addition, we will use a class 2 elastic to maintain the class 1 relationship between the first bicuspid, which is acting as a cuspid on the upper, against the lower. Our class 2 elastic will also provide a mesial force on the molar. The incisor teeth are being retracted by the activation of the closing loop. The elastic is merely maintaining the buccal segments. And now for the lower arch. We did mention that we would like to change the lingual chain on the one side to prevent any molar rolling, mesiolingual. With a class 2 elastic, the molar will tend to roll even more mesiolingual. The force will degrade each month on the lingual chain as placed. A combination of buccal and lingual mechanics is quite efficient in closing extraction space, especially in a sliding mechanics system where there is friction involved with the space closure. At each monthly visit during the space closure stage, you must first evaluate the position of the cuspids. If a solid class 1 relationship exists, then use just intramaxillary elastics or coils. If class 2 or class 3 cuspid exists, use only the appropriate intermaxillary elastic until class 1 is achieved. This rule should be followed until significant experience in extraction space closure is obtained. The objective is to have a class 1 occlusion exactly upon the full closure of the extraction space. Intermaxillary traction between arches without extraction space present may lead to disappointing results. For this reason, I rarely use upper intramaxillary elastics to avoid burning upper molar anchorage in class 2 cases.